Welcome Spartans to Mission Debrief. They've played every mission of the mainline Halo video games, and now they've played every mission from the rest of the games in the franchise in chronological order. Each episode they discuss their experiences and sprinkled in a little lore along the way. And if you like what you hear and would like to support the show, please visit us over on Patreon. It's patreon.com/podcast evolved, and you can also receive a free audiobook trial by visiting audibletrial.com/podcast evolved. This episode we are debriefing Mission Debrief, so I am your special guest host this week, Aaron. Alongside we've got David.
Hello everybody.
We've got Krista.
George lives is dead.
And we've got Colin.
Hello there. I'm on the back end now. This is weird.
Yeah, you're at the you have to say hello and come up with something.
Right.
We've wheeled in the special guest token host this week because I'm going to run through the questions and interrogate everyone while they do their bits and pieces. And I was only on like 2 episodes of Debrief, so I don't count.
You're in 4th place.
We have a ranking system now.
Yeah,
Oh, that's not too bad.
we'll see.
You're right above Orin.
That's right. Neck and neck.
I'm only above Oren.
Yeah.
You were not above Orin.
Well, I suppose we're only talking about hosting and being on the show, and we're not talking about reading books, otherwise I'm miles above Oren.
That's true. You'll always beat Orin when it comes to books.
Orin doesn't read books.
You don't do words good.
Per Oren, I can't really talk. I don't really read books good anymore. That last book killed me. Having to read words was awful.
Yeah, that was a wake-up call.
Well, like we said, you are here for the Mission Debrief recap. Ooh, got stuck on my words there. Before we dive into our thoughts on Halo, did David have stuff for us?
I do have stuff for you. So I thought of this like a while back, like a few episodes back of like when I knew we were coming up to like a recap episode and we're going to do something like a little bit different. I was like, you know what would be cool if I had some stats and facts. I just put my mind together and like thought of a few things that might be interesting. Did some internet digging to find out what I could. So there is a total number of 10 seasons. That's kind of how we classified them in the Mission Debrief kind of feed. So we have 10 different seasons. So our biggest season with the most episodes is season 10, the one we just did, which is Halo Wars 2 with 21 episodes, which kind of makes sense because of all the DLC that game had. We could have gone crazy with like Spartan Ops, but we decided not to actually torture ourselves. That's why it could have been bigger, but we didn't do it that way. Our shortest season is season 9, and that's pretty much the combo season of Spartan Strike, Assault, and Fireteam Raven. So there were 6 episodes in total. Our very first show aired on the 23rd of March 2018. It was the winter contingency from Halo Reach. So there you go. That's an old
2
one.
years.
Yeah.
Quite the commitment.
Isn't it just? Good job, Colin. We had a total of 123 episodes, including the one you're listening to right now. The longest ever episode was episode 68. It's Halo 5 Osiris, where we talked about for 1 hour and 35 minutes and 12 seconds.
Really?
Yeah.
What the hell did we talk about?
I know. That's such a, it's just a random episode in the middle of,
Isn't it the first mission?
it might be.
I think it's the first mission of Halo 5.
That could be why it was so long. Maybe we gave out about it a lot. But I just thought in the middle of the series that it was Halo 5 had the longest. I thought we would have talked about older games more. Our shortest ever episode is episode 3. It's 28 minutes and 33 seconds, and it's Halo Reach Nightfall.
Really?
Yeah, isn't that weird?
I just blazed through that one somehow.
Yeah.
We just didn't want to talk about it.
That's the sniper one, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool mission.
That's a good mission, yeah.
Here is the rankings. I know everybody wants this. So, Colin is in first place. He was in every single show, all 123. So everybody, round of applause for Colin Perkins. Every single episode. Krista by a hair's breadth loses out 122. She missed the ODST recap episode. We don't know why. It was too long ago.
There's probably a hurricane.
And another side fact for Krista, the number of unique Krista intros is 122, because Krista did a unique intro to every single episode. There might be an overlap in there somewhere, I don't know. More often than not, Krista gave her own little intro. So well done, Krista Brown. That's impressive.
Yay!
I came up right behind Krista, 121 episodes. I missed Halo CE Silent Cartographer. I have no idea why, because it's one of my favourite missions in Halo CE. So something in all of Halo. So something serious must have happened where I couldn't do it.
I remember you being bummed out about that. But then Oren wanted to... That's one of Oren's favorites too, so he stepped up, I think.
So I think Oren stepped up and took that from me. And I also deliberately wasn't on the Fireteam Raven gameplay show. And that was to allow Oren to come in because I obviously hadn't played Fireteam Raven. So those are the 2 episodes I missed. Number 3 in third place was Oren. He had 3 episodes.
Well, 4.
He did Fireteam...
Number 4, right? Because there's 3 of us.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, he is the 4th person. He did 3 episodes. Sorry, I'm kind of made a mess of that. He did Fireteam Raven gameplay, the recap episode, and he did Halo CE Silent Cartographer. And dead last is Aaron, who has 2 episodes, including this one. He did the ODST recap and today's episode. So there you go. That's all of our people that we've had. Just for if you were curious of like other stupid facts, I was just thinking of other random things to put in. MD in its total size is 4.5 gigs. That's not including this episode, so it's probably a little bit over that, let's say.
Like all the audio files?
Everything.
Damn.
All of the finished audio is 4.5 gigs.
Do a supercut.
Yeah, that's what 2 years of your life is, Colin.
That's it.
4.5 gigs. The outro track in every episode is the overture from ODST. It's just kind of like my signature I throw on the end of every episode that I edit. For most episodes, they posted at 1:17 p.m. I don't know if anyone ever noticed that, because I don't think I ever told anybody I was doing that either. I just did it. The ones that aren't are the ones that I fucked up and were late, or that I missed.
No one ever appreciates the time we post episodes at. They're all either 1:17 p.m. or 3:43 p.m. religiously if we can help it.
If we can get around with it. And the episode, the famous, infamous episode that I faked was Not My Watch, the DLC for Halo Wars 2.
Oh my god.
Some people were aware of this because we kind of said it on a live show, and Aaron was supposed to edit it out, but he didn't edit it out, and Krista edited me that, yeah, so this is a mission that I played the wrong mission for Mission Debrief and found out like 10 minutes before the show. I was like, oh fuck. So no time to play, we were on a deadline, so I had to go and watch a YouTube video of like a legendary speed run in like 13 minutes. That's pretty much what I did.
And then he BS'd his way through the whole thing.
I was shook and disgusted. That's why that was left in the final edit. I felt betrayed. You faked it so good.
It's the podcast Evolve Scandal. So that's pretty much everything I had. Thought it was kind of fun.
Nice.
Give people some stats.
It's a long haul, man.
It was, man. It really, really was.
This has been like 2018. That's the scary bit. And if 343 hadn't have buggered us up, you would have been just in time. People would have been able to listen to the recap episode while playing Infinite.
We had it down so well.
We had it to like a science. It was down to the week. We added extra episodes. We took away episodes. We took weeks off just so that we could be directly when Halo Infinite's launched in early November.
It was going to be beautiful.
Yeah.
It's alright. You've only got like another 40 episodes of filler to make to keep it going.
I have bad news for you, Aaron.
Oh no.
Well, Mission Debrief's going on hiatus after this. This is the goodbye episode.
Are you telling me you're Georging it?
We're Georging. We're going into the Slipspace Cave.
We're taking a chief nap.
Big chief nap. Yeah, wake us when you need us, guys. Wake us when you need us.
That's perfect.
I thought you would know this because you're hosting the episode.
That's the secret, Krista. I have no clue what's going on. I just did my bit and that was it.
Oh my god, you're doing a David. You're just going off the rails, not knowing what you're talking about.
I did know what I was talking about because I watched the video.
No, you didn't.
Speaking of my bit to do for this week, I have amassed a series of questions from all of our lovely listeners. So we've trawled Twitter, Facebook, and Discord. Lots of Discord because I color-coded them and I'm now noticing there's a lot of Discord there, but they're a very chatty bunch over in Discord.
They are. They're good boys, and I love them.
Before we get into all those listener questions, I got a couple of little softball warm-up questions for everyone. Question number 1 for you guys. What is your first thoughts about the franchise now that we're finished? Like, what immediately jumps to mind? And do you have any new appreciation for the games now that you've just finished playing them all? We're going to go with Colin. Boss man first.
All right, man. So when I read this question, so I needed a preview of these questions, by the way. So I had to take some notes. I'm not good at come up with stuff off the top of my head.
Colin's always prepared, always.
I need to be. So appreciation-wise, like there's different games have different strengths, and there's lots of different ways to experience Halo. I mean, that's one of the main reasons I was drawn to the franchise to begin with, is because it had the extended lore and the books and the videos and the movies and all that sort of stuff. that even playing through the games, it accentuates the fact that you can, be it like we just played the RTS games. Like if you're an RTS fan and also like a military science fiction fan, there's a game for you in the Halo universe that you can play. Obviously, the first-person shooter is the biggest portion of the franchise, and there's lots of different ways to experience that, and they kind of update along the way, right? So CE is kind of graduated with the times, or Halo itself. See that it started with CE and slowly progressed. As video games themselves progressed. In some cases Halo led the way, but they kind of adapted, and now we have Halo 5 and the different movement styles and all the different weapons and all that sort of stuff. So I think how many different ways there is to experience Halo is really something that stood out to me. And they each have done a good job of feeling like Halo. Right, so the different types of games, like we have the arcade game now, and then we have those twin stick shooters. Like they all feel like Halo. They've done a good job, whether or not you're a Bungie fan or a 343 fan, or there's the different developers, Crystal Dynamics to the RTS games, but they all do a really good job of saying this is the universe that you love to experience. Here's a different way to play.
That's a really good point, and I will also second that. That's the one of the things that stuck out is that when you moved, like, let's say, quote unquote, off brand, how well the Halo skin fitted on a twin stick shooter. And sounds like the RTS and the arcade game sounded pretty good. Like everybody came away going, that was Halo. That's impressive because like you're giving a massive franchise to strangers, essentially, to like these other parties that were making these games. I will say, I think for all its strengths, the Mission Debrief is the way we did it is a terrible way to compare the games. Because if you were asking me to compare a mission in Halo 5 to CE, I was like, I played that 2 years ago.
Right.
Yeah.
It is very difficult from that perspective. When I look at what we've done and like all the shows, and we're like, shit, what do you take away from it? I'm like, well, man, it's a really bad way to play Halo.
It is, yeah. Please don't play Halo one mission a week.
Yeah, it's just not a normal way to play games. So I like the idea that now what we've got is a library, and that like you can go and play a mission of Halo and put on a mission debrief and just see how they compare. What do you think about, like, I mean, that's kind of what we designed it to do. We designed it for people to play with us, to have played the mission and then come listen to our show.
Yeah, maybe we point out something you've never seen, or made a point that maybe you didn't realize, just giving you another insight to what we think of the Halo universe and the lore that's in it. I think this was a great way to go through it lore-wise, because we can really take everything with a fine-tooth comb and really pull out every little detail for you guys.
That's what I love too, and as well, like, I learned so much doing this show, just even researching, or things Colin would notice and things Krista would see, and then the links between, like, okay, this show could not have been possible without, it could have been possible, but would have been way harder to do without Halopedia. So massive shout out and thanks to those guys. I mean, we went to Chris a few times when we were looking for like deep shit that we couldn't find, and we're like, do you know this? So shout out to Chris Aiken.
Absolutely.
He is a living Halo Bible.
He is.
He's pretty damn good, and has been great for us in terms of just helping us find things to talk about in the show, or link things together, which was really fun. I'm proud of it. Like, I'm really proud of the show, how it came together. I mean, Colin's original idea, his pitch, was exactly this, and like just how it worked so well. And I'm proud of the three of us. We got together, we did it every week, more or less. We did it. We had to do a lot of switching and changing. Colin's wife probably hates me and Krista.
She doesn't even know we exist.
You're just the podcast people.
We're just the podcast people. God damn it, Colin.
The community, I think, is a good shout out. Obviously Chris Hagen is fantastic, but to my point earlier, where if you don't like a certain type of game, or maybe one game, you weren't feeling it for one game, the community can help catch you up on the larger story. So if you are here, most likely you're on Podcast Evolve for lore, and if for some reason you're struggling on a mission, or you don't like RTS games, or the twin stick shooter you just don't have access to, you can listen to this show or watch videos, or just there's so much community content out there about the lore and about gameplay, all that sort of stuff, that you can experience it that way as well. And that's one of the cool things about the Halo community. Another
point about this kind of experience is how different we tackle challenges in games. That was really interesting to be like, oh, well, I, got in the Warthog and ran him over. And I'm like, oh, well, I was across the entire map and, sniped him. And I just used an AR and punched him. It was interesting to see how we played games differently.
And Halo's great for that. The stand-back nature of Halo is always great for giving you tools to kind of go and play away. And it's always interesting to see, like, oh, you went down this hallway, or you had this weapon at this point, or Colin always found it interesting. Like, I always gave my Marines weapons, power weapons, and throw them in vehicles.
Yeah.
And I just killed them.
And then Krista loves killing them.
The other thing, I think, David, you touched on a little bit too, is like the lore going through mission by mission, because there is so much stuff into each mission.
Yeah, Halo is dense. Halo is dense.
Yeah, like Halo 5, the terminals that are in Halo 5, we covered all of them, right? Krista covered them all for us, and she read most of them for us. But like that whole story about Bastion in Halo 5, like by the time I got to those missions playing Halo 5 originally, I kind of wasn't really paying attention to them, so I just skipped over them. But we were able to dig in a little bit and try to make some sense out of that stuff. And sure, other community members have already figured that stuff out, but playing through it and having a specific segment of the show say, okay, now let's do the terminal, now it's terminal time, it forced us to appreciate all that lore that both the developers put into the game.
Well, and also you get the context of the mission itself within the terminal. I think a lot of people who cover terminals will just cover them all at once. I think it was interesting to see, like, what is this mission about that this terminal is in? Does it have anything to do with the mission? Does it have anything to do with what we're talking about? Does it have anything to do with the setting? Does it coincide or not? Sometimes it did. Sometimes it actually was lore in the mission that you were actually playing in real time. And sometimes it was just galaxy level lore that's way out there. And it depends on what game you're playing and what kind of terminals they have, because the terminals are very diverse in Halo. It was interesting. The Halo 3 ones are still some of my favorites, even though they're annoying to read.
I'll always love them, just for the sight into the lore in the good old days. Right, going on from that, this is the hard question. This is probably the hardest one of the entire night. Your series ranking of the games, and why did you pick your favourite? By the way, shout outs to Randy on Facebook, who basically had the same question, so he said his favourite's Halo 3, by the way.
I wrote mine down, so I'll start on this one. And I did go back, because I feel like when we were ranking each game on the recap, especially in the first-person shooter games,
We made a mess of it. I think we had different rankings every time.
Exactly. It's like, okay, well, I just played this, so this one probably is farther up the list than it would have been if I looked back on all of them at the very end. Anyway, I went back and looked at my list after Halo 5. And we didn't do it for Halo or the other games. I think we ranked them at some point, but it's hard to rank those other games against each other, especially the way that we were playing it. So I'll just go through my list real quick. My list stayed pretty much the same. I did move in an RTS game here, so I'll go. Halo 3 is my favorite. I would say I'll go back to my reasoning too. But Halo 3, Reach. Number 3 is Halo 2. Then I have Halo Wars 2 up there. I really liked Halo Wars 2, especially those cutscenes and like all the stuff that you could do.
Bold choice, Con.
So I threw Halo Wars 2 up there above ODST.
Whoa.
ODST is my 5th favorite. Then I go Halo 5, Halo 4, Halo Wars. Then David's favorite, Halo CE. Sorry, David.
It's so low, Con.
But they're all
so
good.
low
That's the hard
list.
thing. Like, Halo is Halo, and we all are fans. But if you have to rank them. So Halo CE, then I have Spartan Assault, Fireteam Raven, and then Spartan Strike at the very bottom for me. Halo 3 is probably my favorite. One, you know, there's the nostalgia factor. It was really the first Halo that I kind of experienced in the moment, you know, during release and sort of stuff like that. It wasn't the game that really cooked me into the franchise and the lore and stuff like that. Then going back and, you know, just the epic moments in that and revisiting it does start slower than I remember, but like the back end of that game is so good. You know, where they kind of leave the universe off. Here you go, here's the handoff to whoever's going to do Halo next. I thought they did a really good job of wrapping up the story, wrapping in all of the elements, the story elements that they had been telling in the other games. The gameplay had advanced to a point where it's just super enjoyable. So that's my favorite. A lot of nostalgia there, but I feel like it is a really good package.
Right, who wants to go next? Who's terrified? David or Krista?
Krista, do you want to go?
No.
Mine, I think, even after playing all of these games, is probably still going to be CE, so no big surprise there. But I would say probably specifically the anniversary of CE, probably one of my favorites. Just because where I was when that came out, just the whole me of the 10-year anniversary, Halo CE is coming out. It's a updated updated game of the graphics, the music. It has achievements. That was such a huge deal, having achievements. Coming into Halo CE, getting to play these maps again, the multiplayer was a little bit disappointing because it was just a Reach kind of tie-in, but even getting those maps that were remade maps from this Halo CE was just like such a huge thing for me. And I just love it. I just love it so much. Just going back, flipping back and forward between the graphics, just that mechanic is just so much fun. And
do you prefer graphics one way or the other? Or maybe that might be a question later on. Sorry.
Yeah, it is. But I like the remaster, to be honest. When I go back and I play them, I play it on the remastered graphics almost exclusively. I might go back old school just to see how bad something looks. Or I like to see like things that they add, like detail they add on an item or on the environment. I'm like, what did it look like originally? Was it even there? And I like the ability to just flick that back and forth. But I predominantly play in the remastered style. After that, I'm going to say maybe Reach and ODST, just because like Reach is so goddamn good. The emotional journey that we were all on when Reach was coming out, of like, holy shit, Bungie's last game, holy shit, it's a prequel, holy shit, Halo, it's like Halo Reach book. Now obviously there was crazy stuff going on with inaccuracies and overlaps and stuff like that. Even just from the game, like how that played. Like, I liked armor abilities. I know people were pretty down on them, but like I remember playing the Reach beta, the demo and stuff like that, and the multiplayer, and that was awesome. I had so much fun. There's so many good missions, just good fucking missions of like what you play and the weapons you get and the things you get to do. I thought it was so good. I mean, Long Night of Solace is one of the best missions in like a video game. That's just so fucking cool. ODST for like its unbelievable like unique vibe. One of the best kind of games to like sidetrack off like a main storyline, main character, create all these new characters and just give us a unique story told in a unique way. That was so good, and they've never gone back to it, which is a massive shame, because I think everybody wants an ODST 2. Everyone knows like we're ready to do something like that again, especially when 5 comes along and they're trying to weed out John, and like you have strong characters and it doesn't go that well. So Reach, ODST, probably Halo 3 up there. Halo 2 low enough on my list. I might bring Halo Wars 2 up high, then maybe Halo 5, then Strike Assault would be there. Maybe Halo Wars 1 would be above them. But even having said that, Halo 5 is low, not because it's a bad game to play, just because it was such a big disappointment from the story perspective. Like, playing the game is awesome. I like the ability, I like how that game plays, playing as a Spartan. That game does play really well. But I just not jive with Osiris. Despite the fact that the characters were initially quite good, I just don't think it was executed well. I think everyone knows that like that game was gutted.
It wasn't the fact that Osiris is bad, it's the fact that they replaced Blue Team.
Yeah, and just again, everybody has a sour taste in their mouth from the marketing of that game, of just it marketed and ramped us up. Like, nothing has been as hype as that much. Halo Infinite isn't anywhere near as hype as Halo 5 was.
Yeah.
It just set us up for a game that didn't exist, and that's just where we came down so low on it. And I mean, I remember even playing, going back from Mission Debrief, going like, this game is not bad. Like, it's low in people's minds, but it's actually a pretty great game. I will say a surprise hitter for me was Spartan Strike, because I think I remember me and Chris saying, this is a fucking great game. Like, when we were playing through Mission Debrief, like, that's so surprising to me to how much I enjoyed the twin stick shooters.
Did you miss Halo 4 maybe? Is Halo 4 better than Halo 5 in your mind?
I totally did. Halo 4 is probably above Halo 5 in that list. It's low enough because I really hated the Prometheans in Halo 4. That really soured it, but the story in Halo 4 was so fucking good. The acting is just, it hasn't been as good between John and Cortana. Like, there's such huge moments, executed so well, and the didact was incredible.
Krista, your moment of truth.
I'm gonna shotgun it. 2, 3, 1, ODST, Halo Wars 2, Reach, 4, 5, Strike, Fireteam Raven Assault. Is that everything? Did I get everything?
I think you got everything.
Krista, you have Reach really low down.
Yeah, I was surprised by that too.
Yeah, Reach was great when I played it when I was younger, because it was like the big Halo game that I played as a kid.
Yeah, we associate you with Reach because you played it so much.
And just because just because you play a game a lot doesn't mean it's necessarily your favorite game. The reason I played Reach so much was because it was convenient. I was in high school and couldn't afford that many games.
But Krista, you're the richest person in Halo.
I know I am.
Reach, like, you know.
I know. I like Reach. I think it's a great game. I think the gameplay was really fun for the time. The story is kind of meh in general.
And that's all that factors in, right? Like that's loaded into that question, which is the best game, or rank them, gameplay, story, all that stuff.
You know, here's how I kind of prioritize elements in a game, it's always story, gameplay, graphics for me. Story's most important, gameplay is second, and then graphics, good graphics are great, but after a couple hours of playing a game, you hardly notice them anymore.
Well, it becomes an art style after a while.
You're always going to notice the gameplay and you're always going to be engaged with the story, but the graphics are such a passive thing that even if I go back and play a game like Morrowind, which has really shitty graphics, after a couple hours you don't notice it as much.
I think it's always the way you'll never play a really beautiful but shit game for a long time, but you'll always play a really interesting game, even if it's the simplest looking. It's why I've put so many hours into Stardew.
Yeah, because Stardew's a great game. The graphics are rudimentary, but the gameplay's good.
You shotgunned that better than I expected.
I know, I did a really good job, huh? Halo 2 is my favorite because of how Halo 1 got me engaged with the series, Halo 2 got me engaged with the lore.
Yeah, the lore explosion in Halo 2 will always grant it a higher place on my list, and the rage I felt at the end of that game, utter despair of like, this game is over now.
So I never experienced that, which may be why Halo 2 is so high up for me, because I didn't experience that rage. When I played Halo 2, Halo 3 was already out. Well, when I played Halo 2 seriously, because you play Halo 2 as a kid, and I didn't give a shit about the story, I didn't give a shit about the gameplay, I just wanted to run around with friends in a 3D world. That's probably why that's never been like a minus for me, because I didn't experience that, but I totally get why people rank Halo 2 lower because of that fact. But Halo 2 got me super engaged with the lore, and that's one of the reasons why I picked up the books.
It's an interesting point because I feel like nostalgia plays so much into your favorite game. A lot of the times, one of the first games you play in a series is your favorite because that's how you remember it the most fondly, especially. So it would be interesting to hear how this list, how other people's list that came into the series later. So say maybe somebody's first Halo game was Halo 4, and then they did go back and play all the games. Is Halo 4 going to be their favorite game or one of their favorite games? I think a lot of that has to do with how, because David got into Halo back originally, so I think that's one of the reasons Halo CE holds strong for you. And my rationale was Halo 3 was one of the first games that so I think it's an interesting point to think about.
Yeah, I'd love to ask this question in a couple of years to someone whose first game was Master Chief Collection and be like, which of these did you like? Because you got them all in one go. There's future experiments to carry out on children, Colin. Just remember that.
I have a couple.
Right, kind of jumping off our thoughts on Halo. What is your one standout moment from the series after replaying everything? What is the one thing, whatever you want? Doesn't have to be gameplay, it can be anything, but what is the one thing that jumps out at you?
Watching the Halo fire in Halo 2. Or almost fire.
The Halo fire? Oh, the Halo ring fire. Oh, okay.
Yeah. When the Halo almost fired in Halo 2.
I went to the same place as Colin, don't worry. I was like, when was there a fire in Halo 2?
No. I mean, there was a fire in some of those Flood episodes where everything was broken and shit.
I'm kind of hanging up on a few things. The John Locke fight, that was hella fun, that episode. I remember really looking forward to talking to you guys about that episode, wondering what we think. Because I think I remember even Halo 5, let's say it had been a long time before I had played that campaign, and I knew we were doing Mission Debrief, so I deliberately didn't play Halo until it was for Mission Debrief.
You didn't play it for like a year, didn't you?
Yeah, something like that. And I was like, well, it's coming up, so I just won't play it. But it was that. It was probably the sleeper hit of like Spartan Strike and Assault being like way more fun than I thought. Like, we were really dragging our heels thinking, oh my god, we have to play these twin stick shooters. I have to buy this game on Microsoft's store and install it on my laptop and figure out how the controller works with it. Oh my god. And it was like, this is really fun. Like, it was really good fun. That was kind of a sleeper hit, I'd say.
Playing Spartan Ops and crying the entire time because I hated everything.
It was fun when we played together, Krista.
Yeah, but then I had to play all the other missions by myself.
Right.
It was such a fucking slog. It was really, like, I don't think David played all of them. I played every single one, and I was unhappy the entire time.
It's so sad that they're just a slog by yourself.
Such a missed opportunity, yeah.
I'll say the first one that came to mind for me was the opening scene to Halo 4. Not the Halsey. Well, I guess it tied it in with Halsey. Halsey, and then when Cortana says, "Wake up, John, I need you." Like, that still gives me chills every time I play that. That's one of my favorite moments.
It was an amazing way to kind of bookmark the end of Halo 3 and the beginning of Halo 4. It's perfect.
They did a really good job with that. And then probably talked about it during the episode quite a bit, but Isabel and Jerome, like just taking down that enduring conviction in Halo Wars 2 is so good. Like all those cutscenes are gorgeous, but I love that cutscene so much.
Isabel and Jerome might be my favorite like character pairing out of the whole series now.
Yeah.
God.
There's a great potential there for more stories to be told.
All of the Blur cutscenes in Halo 2 are just spectacular. Like, Gravemind looks fantastic. He looks so good. Like, when we found out that it was going to be remastered, I think that's the cutscene everybody was like, oh, I have to see that. And it's just phenomenal.
That and the Cairo Station one.
Yes.
That's a huge one, obviously, because that was the big seller of that game. Do you know what I mean? Was the trailer of giving the Covenant back their bomb. So that's just an iconic moment for Halo in general.
I'll give a shout out to a memorable moment was playing Halo in the arcade.
Oh, yeah, I wish I could have done that, but COVID happened.
Yeah, tell me about it, Colin.
I played it at Outpost Discovery, but we could only play one round.
Just seeing Halo in a arcade or whatever, and be able to sit down with some randoms, or better with friends, obviously, but be able to sit down and play Halo in an arcade, just was a unique experience and a very memorable one.
Ooh, you have to matchmake in IRL, Colin?
You have to talk to people? Ugh, no. You have to touch a machine that's been touched by other people?
That sounds so gross now, doesn't it?
We don't do that anymore. No, that's all dead. None of that.
Yeah.
One last small question before we jump into the community ones. I suppose David's technically answered this with biggest surprise from the replay. I'd say the fact that you enjoyed the twin stick shooters was probably my biggest surprise.
That's one of mine, too. The fact that David bullshitted through an entire episode without playing the mission, that was surprising.
That's probably most other people's biggest surprise.
David's biggest lie.
Please, I want you, if you haven't listened to that episode without this new knowledge, go back and listen to it and see if you can tell. Which mission was that in Halo Wars 2?
Not my watch.
Not my watch. Go listen to that and see if you can tell that David has no idea what the fuck he's talking about the entire thing. Colin was really nice to him. Notice how Colin never asks him a direct question.
I did, but I gave him softballs.
Yeah.
Did you like the mission, David? Oh, I loved the mission. It was so much fun. Or like every other one was like, oh yeah, I did what Krista did.
Biggest surprise for me was going through it, like from a story standpoint, there's so much story packed in there. Going through again, just you learn something new again and again and again. So I think that's one of the biggest things. Like I thought I knew a lot about the story, but there's always something new to pick up on and put into place and just to learn about the franchise and the larger story. And there's so many theories along the way too, right? It's nice being able to play it this way because, well, we had already played through all the games and knew so much about the story. So we knew a lot of the answers that were left hanging on the other games. It's just nice to have that full breadth of lore knowledge now, and you can more hyper analyze it as to, okay, well, this is what they were setting up, and now, now here's how they answer it, and why did they answer it that way? Because they wanted to do X, Y, and Z.
Krista, you got anything else, or are we...
I think we're good. I think we got it.
We will dive into community questions. Thank you very much to everyone that reached out on all of our different places, because sometimes when you ask for community feedback, it can be a bit quiet, so I am super happy that we've got more than 5 questions. That was like my panic was, fuck, how many am I going to have to think of here to pad this show out? But we did all right.
Now you know my original panic when I wrote all the questions every episode. I was like, is anybody going to answer this one? I remember early on I was asked really kind of basic questions and I wouldn't get any response. And so I tried to get creative towards the middle and end of the series.
Thankfully, I just had to ask people for thoughts and they just came out and gave us everything. So we've got our first question. Axel on the Discord and Lucas on Facebook basically asked the same thing. It is, what was your least favourite game from the series and why? David, you've got an answer down here first.
Yeah, I kind of, off the cuff, I was like, yeah, Fireteam Raven, because the bastards won't let me play it. But my least favourite, it's weird, looking at them all now, it might be Halo 5. And that's just because, like I explained before, where the hype train for that game was insane. It got me so deep in my soul, where I was like, oh my god, this is fucking incredible. Everything that happened around that, we were involved a little bit in the launch things. Krista got a pre-copy of the game to do shit with for like, it was just like the podcast evolved, the hype around it and myself was just nuts to the level that maybe no game could possibly actually live up to that. Just what it was such a come down. The whole Blue Team hype and everything. The return of Blue Team was fucking incredible. And then it was like there's 2 missions in the fucking game you play as Blue Team.
There's 3.
There's three maybe. The walk around mission sucks. But yeah, I think that's probably it. I mean, because when I look at them, I mean, obviously 2 has such highs and lows for what it was. 3 was an incredible end. 4 was an incredible start. C is always going to be my favorite, I think. Then you have the peripheral games, which, to be honest, maybe I don't like that much, but like, you know, I like the RTS games I do like quite a bit. So it's probably going to be 5 just because of it was such a high up to a crash down.
I'll go quick. If you look at my list, I'm just going to go by my list. And so I'll give 2 answers. First person shooter, it's hard to say, but David, I think CE because it's the most basic. Like, sure, it lays down all, you know, foundations of the lore and all that sort of stuff, but then going back and playing it when comparing it to the other games, gameplay is a big thing for me, and obviously the lore is too, but if I'm going to go back and play a Halo game, I'm most likely going to play the newer Halo game, one of the newest Halo games. I'll go back to the old games to experience certain moments and things like that. I guess CE is probably my least favorite from like a total package standpoint.
We can still be friends, Colin. It's fine.
From a first-person shooter standpoint. In terms of the other games that we played recently in this the second half of Mission Debrief, I'd say Spartan Strike. I think they made some good gameplay enhancements. The story's a bit confusing. I remember us trying to figure out what's going on, and then like the character that you're in, that you actually use 2 characters at some point, and they don't really have a huge impact on the larger story. So while it looks and feels like Halo, and it's in the Halo universe, like the person that you're playing as is just kind of there. It's a cool little orange Spartan, but that's about it.
Least favorite game. I'm gonna be a bitch and just say Spartan Assault.
No, Palmer.
Yeah, die Palmer. Bye-bye. God, could we not have a better female character? Yeah, I'm just gonna say that. Just because, like, if I think about, would I rather play this game or this game or this game or this game, if Spartan Assault came between any games, I would rather play the other Halo game that's listed. So yeah, that one.
The next question's along a similar lines. It's from Festive FBI over on Discord. Which mission do you think had the hardest encounter?
The library.
I don't think the library's that hard.
The library has never-ending flood.
If you take it slow, though, it's not that bad. And just clear up all the flood.
And if you're playing on original graphics and have no idea where you're going and there's never-ending flood constantly coming at you while you're trying to figure out what way to go, it's not fun.
What about Cortana, though?
Cortana doesn't have never-ending flood.
But it's like confusing and you're wandering around and...
It's not as confusing as the library. And I will tell you why. Because the library all looks the same, and it has multiple, like, dead ends that you can go down and then, like, circle around and you're back in the same place.
I won't lie to you. Library is like muscle memory to me now. I just don't get lost. I know exactly where I'm going. So I don't hate it because of that. And I probably would say Cortana because it's the one that I have the most memories of playing on Legendary and hating the most. It is probably Cortana. I mean, and Halo 2 overall is a very tough game on Legendary.
See, I've tortured myself by playing Cortana and the library on Legendary multiple times, and I feel like I'm more proficient at Cortana than I am at the library.
Really? That's interesting.
I'm going to throw out the breaking on Halo 5. That's the one where you fight the 3 wardens at the very end.
Oh, fuck that.
Oh,
yeah,
shit.
Fuck
yeah.
that.
That's terrible, especially with the AI, your AI partners and stuff.
And it's funny, they had to patch it to make it easier. Do you know what I mean? That tells you it all. Like, good shout out, Colin.
I know no one cares in my opinion because I didn't do all these episodes, but I'm just going to throw out Keys because Keys has some unlimited flood spawns and they're the worst. That lake with the hunters is awful. Anything that has unlimited flood.
That one is pretty miserable as well, but I figured out how to cheat it and just cheat into the Keys room at the very beginning of the level, so...
You were telling me about that.
It's legit strategy, Krista. It's legit.
Well, like, they show you keys at the very beginning of the level, so I just cut through right to the Keys room.
That's smart.
This next one, David kind of touched on it earlier. Lucas on Facebook wants to know, which mission in particular were you most excited to talk about?
Oh, maybe I answered this wrong question.
You were kind of talking about the lock fight, I think, earlier.
Yeah, I think that was... I was really excited to talk about the lock fight. I can't remember what mission that even is at the end in the middle of Halo 5. I think it's Meridian, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Between
that and, Silent Cartographer, which sucks I wasn't even on it. I was really excited to talk about Silent Cartographer. This is one of my favorite missions.
For me, and I refresh my memory on this, ODST, NMPD HQ, where you're on the rooftops, and then you have that rad encounter at the very end, where you have those missile launchers, and the whole team finally comes back together, and yeah, that's a cool mission. I remember that one really stands out when I look back at ODST for me, and then being able to talk with you guys about it, I thought was a lot of fun.
I think for me, Long Night of Solace from Halo Reach, I was really excited to talk about when we started the series, because it was the first space Halo mission that we got. So I had, and that's my favorite mission from Halo Reach, and of course that was the first game we covered, so I remember starting the series once Colin actually pitched the show to Podcast Evolved. He came to us with the idea, and David and I said, yeah, we'll do that with you. So when he pitched the show, that was one of the first things I was really excited to talk about.
Right. Pope on Discord has a quickie here. Pick your favorite Flood mission.
Oh, favorite Flood.
Gravemind from Halo 2.
The cutscene?
It doesn't have any Flood in it, but it is still part of the Flood playlist, so I think it
cheating.
Counts. It counts. It's part of 343 have put it in the Flood playlist.
That's a disgrace that's in there. I want to have words with someone.
I played it on Halloween, and I was so confused the entire mission. I'm like, there's no Flood in this mission. I know there's no Flood in this mission. It's just the Gravemind cutscene. But if 343 think that's worth going in the Flood specific playlist, I'm just going to say that's my favorite Flood mission.
Well, the cutscene is worth putting in there, I'll tell you that much.
I'll say the Covenant from Halo 3. That's one of the best missions in Halo to begin with.
There's no Flood in that.
Yeah, that's one where the Flood flips on you. You partner up with the Flood.
Oh, at the very, very, very end, yeah.
Yeah, and then they flip. That's when you go and finally kill Truth and all that sort of stuff. So, I mean, it's a good mission to begin with, but there's Flood in it, so that counts.
Good job, Colin. My favorite one? Shit.
343 Guilty Spark.
No, that mission sucks. In a weird way, I might say Keys.
It's hard, though.
We just talked shit about it. What the hell?
I loved fighting my way back up onto the ship through all the Flood, having the Flood fight the Covenant and you fighting in the middle of them. I thought it was so cool at the time. Chris, what other missions are on that playlist? Out of curiosity.
Oh, there's a lot.
Is there?
Yeah, kind of. I think there were 7. So I don't actually know all the mission names, so please forgive me. It's 343 Guilty Spark, then the library, then it transitions to Halo 2, and you play...
It doesn't include Keys?
No, it doesn't. Keys isn't in there, which is something I was kind of taken back by that as well. The next Flood mission is the one with the tanks and stuff from Halo 2.
Oh, Sacred Icon. That's a great mission. I like that.
Yeah, Sacred Icon is the next one, and then it's Gravemind and the mission after that for Master Chief. And that's all Halo 2. That's all they included for Flood missions for Halo 2.
Oh, really?
For Halo 3, it's the first one that the Flood come in.
Floodgate.
I knew it was Flood something. And then it's Cortana, and that's the Flood playlist.
Oh, really?
Okay. I will say Sacred Icon then, based on that, because I do really like that mission. We plays the Arbiter, and you've got vehicles and stuff, and you're just kind of rolling around, shooting Flood.
I was expecting them to put in the mission in Halo 2 where you're first introduced to the Flood as Arbiter? Where you're running around trying to kill the heretic?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
I was surprised that wasn't included.
Interesting. Next one we have is from Turkey McPod on Discord. If you could play just one mission for the rest of time, what would it be and why?
The Covenant from Halo 3.
Nice.
You like it that much?
Let me tell you why. I'm going to tell you why. Let me tell you a story. You start the Covenant off on foot with a Spartan laser. Then you get into a Hornet, and you go kill Phantoms and Banshees in the air, and then you get to go into these towers and kill a bunch of people in the towers.
Oh shit, that is a really good mission.
Then you get a tank, and then you go through the mission with a tank, and then you get another Hornet, and then you get 2 Scarabs. I repeat, 2 Scarabs that you get to kill. And then you get to team up with the Flood, and then you get to kill Truth, and then you get to kill the Flood. That is why that is the best one, because it has the best. It's a long mission and it has the best diversity.
It is very long.
I will give you my cheater's choice. Mine would have been Silent Cartographer and Assault in the Control Room. And I know it's 2 missions, but me and my friends, when we were playing Halo CE, like years after when they had all kind of gone away from gaming, whatever, gotten sick of like games and stuff like that, I could always get them to come back, and 3 of us would sit down and we would play through Silent Cartographer and Assault in Control back to back. That's just what we did. We knew those missions down, we just played around with difficulties and stuff, but it's like the 2 of those missions, just how they play, are just some of my favourite missions in all of Halo. I just love them so much. The maps and like just all the kind of things you get from Halo CE. But like Krista has bent my ear. She really did sell that well.
It's a good mission.
Well, I was going to say the mission before, so the Ark on Halo 3, also very good, very diverse. You know, you first time you get to see the Ark, you know, the cutscenes are cool, and then you do get a Scorpion right away. It's a big mission, lots to do. There's some, when that Scorpion gets dropped off, remember that part of that? Yeah, there's lots to do in the Ark as well, so I'd say that. But usually when I want to play Halo now, you know, having played all the games and stuff like that, I want to play a modern. I want to play Halo 5, so I usually pop into like Firefight or something like that and mess around in there. From a mission standpoint, I was trying to think which mission in Halo 5 has the most diversity. I think one of the last missions, sort of saying Helios maybe, or I guess that's in the middle. I would say Genesis came to mind. So when you finally go to that planet, I think you dropped out some space in the Guardian, and you kind of run down the Guardian, and then you go down, and then at some point you do get into a Scorpion. There's lots of vehicles, and then you do have a Warden. Super Witness. Then you do have a fight at the end with the boss, Warden Eternal, 2 of them at the very end. So it is pretty diverse, and you know you get to do all the newer Halo goodness in that mission.
All right, next question is from Nate on Discord. I'm going to modify this slightly. If you had to eliminate one of the Halo games, what would it be and why?
I'm going to say... So I think it specifically says the FPS games, right?
He did say which of the FPS and which of the others, but rather than having to pick 2 different games...
I'm going to pick the 2 different ones, actually.
Ooh.
So for the FPS games, I'm going to choose Halo 5 because I think it could be redone and done a lot better. But I still love Halo 5, but I think they could redo it. It would be better. I feel like the only other one I'd contest is Halo Reach as well, because I think the same thing. This is all story-wise. This isn't gameplay-wise or anything like that. This is just the story. If you removed any of the other games, the whole like pile would crumble. I think Halo 5 and Halo Reach are the ones easiest to remove and still have a cohesive story.
The ones on the edges.
Well, to that point, I'd say ODST, and I love ODST, but you don't need ODST.
It's true, but it adds so much to the story and the ambiance.
It does. But I would say that you could get rid of that and still be fine from a franchise standpoint. For the other games, I'd say Spartan Strike, just because it's more or less redundant. It's refined, but it's also redundant. It doesn't add a whole lot of story. It kind of just... It puts itself in the middle of the story. Cool stuff, but it's not necessary.
That's the one I would kill too. I mean, you wouldn't touch the Halo Wars games because they're like their own thing, and they're beautiful in their own little bubble. In terms of FPS, you're kind of both right in a way. Like you could kill ODST and like the franchise would be fine. 5, I'd love to see that done proper in whatever iterate. That game had another iteration somewhere along the line, and it just didn't come together. And yeah, if you fixed Reach, like, so it made canonical sense. I mean, there's so much more you could do with Halo Reach. Your guys' answers are there, yeah.
Next up, Festive Cal has 2 questions. The first one is, which game has the best Scorpion?
Halo 5.
I said 5 too because of all the variants you can get out of it, and I think it's fun. It's hella fun in that game.
Halo Wars 2.
Colin Perkins, you son of a bitch.
When you get a Scorpion in Halo Wars 2, you know that thing just is badass, right?
Yeah, that's true.
You know it's just going to wreck shop.
If I was going for Halo Wars, it's definitely the Grizzly instead, but...
Holy shit.
The Grizzly leader power in Halo Wars 2? Come on. Yeah, there we go.
That's not a Scorpion.
Yeah, it's technically... I think the Scorpions in Halo 5 are beautiful. There's something about them. I know not everyone likes them, but every time I get in a Scorpion in Firefight, I feel just like I'm going to have fun. Festive's other question is, what is your favourite loadout from all the games?
That's a hard one.
Individual.
I think just total, like, what is your go-to weapon combo?
Headshot and plasma pistol, because I usually play on heroic or legendary.
What's the headshot?
Just a headshot weapon, I think you mean, do you?
Just anything with a headshot. So like a DMR pistol or, a BR.
I'm always going to love the CE pistol and CE shotgun, and they work so well together through multiple enemies types in that game. I try to love the AR, but it's just hard to sometimes. Like, it's such an iconic weapon, but it's also terrible in a lot of times. In a lot of the games. There is the answer. The explosive rounds saw. The Saw was one of my favorite games in Halo when they brought that bad boy in Halo 4 and Halo 5. Halo 5 is the thing that like exploded the Halo weapons because they're all of the variants that are in there are just like, some of them are just so much fun. I haven't even used all of them.
So Saw and what? What's your other weapon?
You don't need another weapon. It's the answer. You pick up two the answers, Colin.
Your answer is the answer.
I'll go with DMR and rocket launcher.
Which rocket launcher, Colin?
I don't care. Just one of them.
Just one of them, yeah.
I don't distinguish.
I like to go DMR and shotgun if you're going down that route. Once they've got too close for the DMR, you just need to take them out quick. Otherwise, it's all gone horribly wrong. Right, next question. Back to design stuff. The pesky bird and chicken tendy on Discord wanted to know, what is your favourite Marine design? And a follow-up question, do you have a preference between the Bungie or the 343 Marines?
I like 343 Marines. I think I liked the redesign of like when we got to Halo 4 and like they changed up the art style, and like I actually really liked that more realistic art style. I liked how Chief looked. I liked how the armors looked.
But he's talking about the Marines though, because they look like a little too space marine-y for me. But that makes sense in the story, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, like when you go back to like the other games, like they literally look like Marines could look like now. They don't have a lot of technology on them or about them. They're pretty grunt like. But I liked the idea of them being space Marines, Colin. That's what I wanted. Like, show me my Marines with my gear, with my technology. You know, some of the things that humans have over the Covenant, over the aliens, is their unique technology. And I want to see it.
I like the classic design more so, but that's a good point. But Halo 3, I think, has my favorite Marine design. Yeah, I think the Bungie Marine design, but it just, I really like that. The green and they're grittier, I guess, less space marine-y, even though they do make, the 343 ones do make sense in the era and the story they're telling, but I think the Bungie Marines are more for me.
Krista?
There are Marines in Halo?
They're the things that die on missions. You know those things?
Why would I pay any attention to dead corpses on the ground?
Sometimes they give you weapons, so did you find a particularly attractive one when you stole a rocket launcher?
No, they were dead. Because I killed them for their rocket launcher.
Krista has spoken. The only good Marine is a dead Marine.
It's a dead Marine, yeah. Oh man, that's my final answer.
Okay, we will move on then. Next up, question from one of Krista's suicide grunts on Discord. What is your favourite weapon and which of the art styles do you prefer?
Needle rifle, final answer.
Excellent choice.
I don't even have to pick the art style because it's only in one game.
It's only in Reach. I think there's a variant of...
It's technically a carbine.
Yeah, in Halo 5.
It's called Blood of Sunayon.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I'll go with that just to be different than Krista.
The same thing though. Same gun, different name.
Yeah, we're not very diverse. I really like the carbine. Every time I see the thing, I grab that in a mission. So I'll just go with the Halo 3 version.
Alright, next up, Jedi Spartan over on Twitter. Do you prefer the original or remastered graphics and cutscenes for CE and Halo 2?
Remaster.
Really?
Always remaster.
Yeah.
So remastered cutscenes, yes. But what about graphics?
Remaster.
You don't... Have you played the original... So I like that you can flip back and forth, right? That's a cool thing. I did the last time I played through CE, which was fairly recently, I played on all of the old graphics, and it's much creepier and like the mood
it is. That's true.
That it sets.
That's because it's just a bunch of walls with absolutely zero features on them. Right. There's just a blank hill that's just green with nothing on it.
But they could have done that with the remasters. I mean, they could have at least made it darker. It's just so bright. Like the new remastered graphics are so bright, and they could have done a better job with the lighting, I feel like.
That's because we couldn't see anything when we played CE. They had a built-in flashlight because you couldn't see anything in that game. And guess what? The flashlight ran out of battery.
Because it was supposed to be scary.
It's not supposed to be scary.
Colin, you're essentially walking around with a nuclear bomb on your back. You should be able to power a bloody headlight.
It's true. You know how expensive those are, son?
That's right.
That is a fair point. They didn't have LEDs back then. They could never have known how much more power efficient they could
Yeah,
have
in
been.
2552, they didn't have LEDs back then.
Right, our next question is from Oblivion and Jedi Spartan on Twitter. They both asked something similar. Favorite cutscene from the series? And David has put 2 down, but I'm going to force you to pick one. Choose between your children, David.
Damn you. I actually put 3 down, but like, I'm also thinking of a 4th one, but I know the guys will pick one anyway. So probably because it's one of the most recent ones, it's probably just going to be watching Din Djarin convict. Like, that cutscene.
It's so good.
It's really good.
And I remember like even getting really excited for that episode of Mission Debrief, being like, man, we can talk about this fucking cutscene.
Plus, we hadn't seen a cutscene for like 8 missions.
They really left you waiting, but I'd say Halo Wars 2, then when the Conjuring Conviction is destroyed by Isabel. That's awesome.
That's mine. There's a lot of good ones, but that's my favorite.
You guys are lame. You can't even think of a different cutscene. I got one for you, and you guys are gonna go, oh, that is a good cutscene. At the end of the Covenant, when you find out that the Ark makes Halos.
Huh?
Oh, yes, when you birth the Halo.
Yes, when Chief and Arby are standing on the edge and the Halo just rises up.
Guilty Spark is all excited.
Yes, and it plays the Halo theme and everything.
That is a good one. I'm going to slip one in here just to say that I think the first cutscene from Spartan Ops, when you have the Infinity and it drops out the fighters and smashes a cruiser to pieces.
Yes, fuck, that's a great cutscene.
From the very beginning, even when you're having just the banter between the Spartans on the way up to the ship and all, that's all very good.
Spartan Up cutscenes are good.
Yeah, that is very good. I will also say shout out to Halo Wars 2 cutscene where the Spartans red team just fucking wreck shop with a bunch of elites. That's pretty fucking
That's
dope.
Halo Wars 1.
That's Halo Wars 1? Yeah. The end kind of seeing that. And also shout out to giving Covenant back their bomb. Halo Wars 2. That's always going to be an incredible cutscene.
Yeah.
Next up, Manny on Facebook wants to know, what is your go-to gaming snack?
Oh.
Coffee.
Really?
Yeah, coffee is a good one.
Man, I'm just all coffee. I don't have an item that I snack on when I game. It's just coffee.
I try not to snack when I game because it's such a bad habit, right? But it's either something sweet or something salty. So it's either going to be like poppable candy or chips that aren't going to make my fingers greasy. They can't make my fingers greasy. Cheez-It, for a while it was Cheez-Its. I ate a lot of Cheez-Its while gaming. They don't make your fingers greasy. They're cheesy and delicious. They're great. Highly recommend Cheez-Its. Now I just try to eat my normal dinner while gaming, and it's a lot more difficult, honestly.
I'll say I'm a big fan of popcorn, so give me some popcorn. And
do you have the
some
seasoning?
butter. I do seasoning every once in a while, but mainly just butter and salt. Just give me that. And I'll drink an IPA. So that's usually like when I'm solo gaming, I'll do that. But if I'm playing with somebody else and I don't have a mute button or something, it's just a pain in the ass on my headset. I try not to chew. And
Stop
just annoy somebody.
eating chips and keeping your mic on, you animal. We don't want to hear your food being chewed and swallowed. It's nasty. You're nasty if you do that, and I won't play games with you because it's nasty. I hate sitting down with someone and they're like, oh, I got McDonald's, and it's just like, it's like, no. Mute your mic. I will tell them to mute. I'm like, mute your mic, man. If you're going to take a big bite of something, mute your goddamn mic.
Wow, we've unleashed Krista. This is not expected.
Yeah, Jesus. She's been triggered.
I hate it. Mute your mic.
Well, so wait, that's why. So for multiplayer, I do. So if I can snack on multiplayer, it's like softer candy or something like that. So I'm not like crunching into the mic, and I don't have to worry about muting. And then I usually drink booze.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Alcohol's good. Right. Our next couple of questions are all character related. First up, Lucas on Facebook wants to know, which character do you think needs more screen time because either Bungie or 343 did not flesh them out enough?
Halo 3 rat.
Are you sure?
Yeah, final answer.
I think the chimps and the apes in Halo 3.
Yeah, the family of chimps that you can find. Yeah, their story is really bad.
That's not good. The correct answer is Buck, Halsey, or Osmond. They should all be in these games way more than they are. And they're not.
Yeah, Osmond, she gets a little time in Spartan Ops, right? But that's it.
Yeah, that one time.
Osmond is the least service out of those three.
And she should be way higher up there.
I wrote a couple answers, but I'll just go with this one. Mercy.
Oh, Mercy's pretty cool, yeah.
He just dies.
He just gets killed by a floody guy.
Yeah. He's at the beginning, he might say have 1 or 2 lines, and then he just dies.
At least Regret tells you that his sermon isn't complete 100 times when you're fighting him.
Right, exactly. Well, and Regret has screen time in some of the terminals, but I don't think Mercy shows up in really any of them.
No.
Not by himself, anyway.
That Regret murder is one of the weirdest missions because you're basically a space marine beating a pensioner in a mobility scooter to death.
I think we've all had moments where some asshole like is a dick to you in a mobility scooter, and you just think of that and you're like, Especially if you're at a theme park or something, because they are not very nice with their mobility scooters. They will hit you. I'm evil, basically, is what I'm saying.
Krista's version of Disney is Mad Max. That's good to know.
Why do you think she goes so often?
Yeah, it is. I have internal dread from mobility scooters and moms with huge prams.
So many things disturbing with this. Next up, these two questions basically go together. So Charlie on Facebook wanted to know, who is your favourite character you've seen in the games and why is it Sergeant Johnson? And Luke said on Twitter, your top 3 Halo characters. So give me your favourite and your top 3.
343 Guilty Spark 3 times.
Nice. Love it.
Maybe we can throw in Exuberant Witness, just because she's pretty cool.
She is fantastic.
And Gravemind as well. There you go, there's 3.
Good job, Krista.
I know, I picked 3. I started with 1, but now we have 3. I did a good job.
If we're keeping it to the games, I say I always love Buck. I've always loved Halsey. And I want to say, here's another one what I'd put up there. Man, maybe Cortana. I like Cortana a lot, but not anymore. But anyway, I'll go with that.
I'll go...
I have some images I can send you for that.
Oh, no. It's not that sort of podcast.
I'll go Atriox.
Oh shit, Atriox is so good.
Palmer. I know you guys don't like her, but I like her. And Guilty Spark. I'm a big fan of Guilty Spark too.
Okay, I can edit out your answer about Palmer later.
None of you picked Sergeant Johnson. So, sorry, Charlie, none of them liked Johnson.
He did, man. He did.
Yeah, he did. He did.
He doesn't have to
You
be
notice how we
alive to be your
picked
favourite.
alive people?
No, Guilty Spark was dead for years, just because they wrote him back in.
He wasn't actually dead. He came back. It's fine.
As far as the games are concerned, he's dead, so that one doesn't count.
Not true. Not true at all.
Till Infinite.
I see through your lies.
Chakas lives.
Yeah. Spoilers.
Richard on Facebook wants to know, which Spartans would you like to see get their own game or show? He would like to see a Grey Team game.
I think we're all going to say Grey Team.
Yeah, that's the correct answer. I'll also add the caveat of I'd love to see a Ferret Team game. That'd be pretty damn dope.
I want Black Team, but they're still dead.
No, Black Team is deaded. Also a great answer would have been Keto 5. They're 100% keyed up for a game.
I'd say it's along the same lines, but there's a fire team called Fire Team Shadow. In Halo 4, they're mentioned in Spartan Ops. They like go and take down a ship for you or something like that.
Are you picking them just because of the name?
Well, the name is cool, and they also have a Mega Construct set.
Okay, I was wondering where you were getting these guys from, because I'm like, who the hell is Shadow?
But it's also because you don't really know much about them. I don't think a show about an established character is gonna work super well. So,
Colin, don't jinx it.
So yeah, I think that would be fun to watch. Kind of like, hey, this thing exists in the lore. It's just kind of off to the side, and they can explore whatever they want to do with on a show from that standpoint. A more mainline answer would be maybe Vale. She could be interesting because she knows so much about Sangheili culture and stuff like that, and she's more like a scientist type character.
What about Phyllis?
But I feel like it'll be interesting to see if they do come out with a show down the road, hopefully, how they deal with all the alien races, because it's got to be a CGI nightmare for all the different races and putting them alongside live action actors. But anyway.
Right, next question could be a potentially very quick one. Lucas on Facebook again wanted to know, Have you guys tried any Halo-related mods? So like SPV3, there's a couple for Arma 3, Sins of the Prophets, which is one I've played. Have you guys dabbled at all in any mod-related Halo stuff?
No.
I have watched a few videos of the Arma ones because when I heard that they existed, and I was like, okay, what is Arma? I always looked at the video and it's so intensely complicated that I was just like, no fucking way am I going near it. But it sounds cool. What people do over there is pretty damn cool. The Sins of the Prophets is always something in the back of my mind that I should play, but I haven't. The true answer is I have played Halo Online when that was kind of leaked, and that was a thing for like 5 seconds. So that game that was supposed to be like a Russian...
Yeah, it was Russian. Mm-hmm.
Free-to-play Halo?
Yeah, a free-to-play Halo multiplayer game. That was pretty cool for like a hot second. So I like jumped into like a multiplayer map with no one else on it but me and just dicked around with the weapons and stuff. And the maps. There's some cool maps in there. But that was the only thing I ever did.
Yeah, I haven't done much mod stuff. I own the Sins of the Prophets and the mod itself, but it would be interesting. I don't know if we'd be able to do it justice to jump into those mods, because I feel like you got to spend a lot of time with them, and we're more story driven anyway, but something to think about.
I fired up Sins of the Prophets once, got slaughtered. I went back a second time. I think it's a game with a learning curve that would take a while. I was happy enough to get into it, build an infinity, and then get wiped out because I flew to the wrong solar system and got obliterated.
Those types of game you have to take slow. Like, you have to be methodical about those games.
Yeah, there's a serious amount of work in Sins of the Prophets, though, the ship models and all the rest of it. My favourite thing with Sins of the Prophets now is to just see these screenshots people do from them. That keeps me quite happy.
Space battles is cool in Halo, but like to conduct a real space battle the way that they're probably supposed to be conducted probably isn't that exciting.
True. It's a lot of maths.
Yeah, Flawless Cowboy on Discord wants to know, after your playthrough, who is your favourite Covenant species?
Grunts.
Elites.
Mine's still on the elites. Grunts is a good answer, though.
They're funny.
I like the Grunts' sense of humor. I think that's fun.
They're not trying to be funny, Colin. They're scared and dying.
That's a good point. Like, they're goofy. Maybe they're not trying to be funny. But like that grunt that you meet in Halo 5.
They're in hysterics. You're laughing at poor aliens in hysterics.
I like their never-ending optimism, though. That's what really gets me is
Yeah.
No matter how many times the grunts get killed or flung at Master Chief, they're always optimistic.
They are. Yeah, and there's so many of them. They keep breeding and breeding. And everybody's mean to them, but they have a smile on their face while they're dying.
They can fuck.
Yes, they can. Right, Lucas from Facebook wants to know, what games or books have you got into off of Halo? So he said that he probably would never have got into the Mass Effect or Dead Space books if Halo hadn't have brought him into military sci-fi. I'm just going to jump in here and say I don't think I ever would have read the Expanse books.
I think for me it's probably Gears of War, just because Halo and Gears are kind of the pinnacles of Xbox, and I felt like Halo brought me into Xbox and has kept me here and has made me an Xbox fan, that it made me feel like I had to play Gears of War to get the entire Xbox experience.
Did you like Gears of War? Like, is it up there in your franchises?
It's probably not up there. It's probably mid-tier for franchises. I appreciate Gears of War. I appreciate the story. It's never going to be like a go-to, like, oh, I have time and I want to play a story campaign. I don't think it'll ever be like that for me.
Is it because of the gameplay you just don't like as much?
Yeah, I think the first game and the second game are just kind of meh, but the other ones get really good. Like Gears 5 was amazing.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. I'd say Gears also, and then who is it? Lucas? He mentions Dead Space. That's another one that is kind of in that same vein. And then BattleTech. I haven't dove too much into BattleTech. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that franchise. It's an old franchise, but they have a modern strategy game, and they have a bunch of books that I want to get into eventually.
Did anyone go back and play Oni because of Bungie?
No, I haven't.
I never did that. Oni or Marathon.
I want to, but I feel like going back to those games, that's going to be hard.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
About the only thing I did is kind of like an offshoot, but let's say because of let's say Halo, let's say specifically like the franchise and the books of it. I mean, the strength of the Halo books did widen my net for like books that I would read potentially, like to other franchises and stuff. So like I would have done it eventually, but say I read the Assassin's Creed books pretty early because I believed that they could be good because of the Halo books were so good, and I was like, okay, these books add so much more to my enjoyment of the game series. I will get the like Assassin's Creed books, and they far and away blew my mind and how they're structured and stuff. And I have dabbled a few in the Mass Effect books, but I didn't take to them as well or as much. I don't think there is as many of them either, but like there's a prequel book that's pretty good to the first Mass Effect that tells like Anders' story and his like mission with Saren and like why he didn't become a Spectre in the end. Like that's a very interesting story, and it, you know, it's an interesting part of the Mass Effect kind of lore. So that's kind of my answer.
I will also give a shout out to the Gears of War books. They are much better than they have any right to be for a franchise that is about steroid meathead soldiers with chainsaw guns. I haven't read the new one now. I've only read the Karen Travis novels, but they are fantastic, which should be no surprise to anyone because the Kilo 5 trilogy might be up there as one of my favourites. But if you pick them up cheap, the original Gears novels, brilliant, a lot of depth to them, worth a read. Our last sort of main Halo-y related question is from Bartlett King on Discord. Quick simple one. Fuck, marry, kill Johnson, Buck and Lasky.
Fuck Johnson, marry Buck, kill Lasky.
There we go. Correct answer.
No. Marry Lasky. Marry Lasky.
Who are you killing then? Are you killing Buck? Are you killing Nathan Fillion? Why would you kill Nathan Fillion? You can't do that. Nathan Fillion's a Spartan. He's got so much battle experience. He's one of humanity's greatest assets, and you're just gonna kill him? That doesn't sound right at all, Colin. I'm gonna have to commit you, actually.
Lasky's captain of the Infinity, man. You can't kill him. Come on. He's a sweetheart.
Anyone can captain the Infinity. Come on.
Halsey's on there. Osmond's on there. I mean, it'll be
Roland
fine.
flies the ship. It's grand.
Lasky is a sweet boy, but I think he's very vanilla and probably not very good in
He's
bed.
good husband. Well, that's why you're fucking Johnson. Johnson knows what the ladies
That's
like.
why I'm fucking Johnson, but I feel like Buck could still give me a good sexual experience during our marriage, but I don't think Lasky will. I think Lasky's a missionary man and he doesn't do anything else.
I think he's got some surprises up his sleeve.
I don't know, he seems very vanilla to me.
Look, he has hidden talents. He has a ship with hidden ships inside it. You know he's got a surprise.
I think he's compensating for something with that ship.
It's not the size, it's how you use it.
He inherited it. It was Del Rio's to begin with.
It doesn't matter. He's still the captain.
Right. We have 2 Mission Debrief specific questions now for the end of the show. So the first one is both Ryan on Facebook and Luke on Twitter wanted to know, will Mission Debrief be postponed after Halo Wars 2 is finished? And will it come back when Halo Infinite is out?
Yes.
We're kicking around some ideas. We have lots of ideas as to how to extend the life of Mission Debrief. I mean, obviously it was meant to be about each mission, which we've done, but there's other ideas. Can we remix missions? There's, can we rank a mission? There's lots of ideas that we have. So we'd love to hear what you guys have to think while we take a bit of a break. Yes, we're gonna take a bit of a break.
Some of us are recording like three shows a week, and we're exhausted.
Yeah, it takes a lot to keep the podcast train rolling. That's why we enjoy our Christmas break so much, because we save up some episodes and then we all just peace out for 4 weeks and do fuck all, and it's great.
Yeah.
It really is.
Matt on Discord says, what do you all think about running through the multiplayer maps and the lore there, especially the Bungie era maps? They have a shit ton of behind-the-scenes lore. So I actually have something about this, because when we were kind of scheduling the original Podcast Evolved and coming up with different topics to talk about, one of the topics we were throwing around, which we never actually used, was to talk about the lore in maps. And I think we started with Truth, which is the multiplayer map that's inside a Covenant ship, and that has so many different iterations. That was one of the first ones we were going to cover, but we never actually got around to covering maps in the main show. So it would be interesting.
A lot of maps, though.
I don't play a ton of multiplayer, so I'm not familiar with all the lore, but it would be fun to explore that a bit. I think that's a fun idea.
There's some really interesting maps, like Cold Storage.
Yeah, right. Isn't there like a whale in one of them in Halo 5? Or?
Yeah, there is, yeah.
I mean, that is something I do appreciate that they've always done 343 and Bungie's, like the fact that the multiplayer has like lore in it to the story, to the games and stuff like that. That even that they've canonized their multiplayer in that it's a holodeck like simulation for training Spartans. Like I always found that really clever and really enjoyed that aspect of it, and that the missions then could have like things to find that are interesting. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, it'd be a fun mission. Yeah, I mean, thanks for hanging with us. Everybody that's been on the, just listening since the start. I'm sure there's some of you, like, that's awesome, right? That was the intention. And then people that have, come in part way and gone back, right? Like, so maybe somebody came in during Halo 3 or finally in Halo 4. And, these are all rolling out on YouTube as well. I'm sure some people picked it up that way and then have gone back to the beginning. But thanks for listening. It's been a really fun journey.
People binge this.
Yeah.
People binge listen to us. And that's just insane to me.
That is nuts. It's nuts to see the numbers. Like, when you see the raw numbers of how well this show is done has been fucking crazy. The fact that, like, every time when I get a message of, like, man, I'm just fucking, I play your game, I play the mission, I listen to your podcast. That's just what I do. And I'm like, fuck, that's mental. That, like, people are using it as intended, I guess. Like, maybe not a lot of people, but, like, the fact that anyone is doing it, I think is impressive to me. And the fact that it exists, it's a set catalog, I think it's fucking good shit, and I'm delighted we did it.
I want to highlight you, Colin, because you came to us with this awesome idea, and you've been here the entire time hosting, writing scripts. It takes a lot of time and effort, and I think David and I can both say we really appreciate you. We appreciate you for pitching the show, for sticking with us, for doing all you do to keep everything running, to scheduling with us and getting that.
That's been huge.
No, it's been fun. It's been an awesome project. Thank you for sticking with me, like with my recording schedule. It's not the best with the family and stuff like that, but I appreciate that. It feels good to like complete it, right? I had the idea to begin with, and you guys were like, yeah, let's do it. But then to actually see it all the way through, I think has been a lot of fun. And towards the end here, it's gotten a little bit like I'm ready to be done.
Yeah, we've been getting a little burnt out.
Hopefully that doesn't come through in the episodes. Like, we still brought the energy.
A lot of editing issues in Halo Wars 2. It's staying near the end of the season. We've dropped some balls for sure.
But I think, one of the reasons I did come up with the idea is that I think a lot of people play Halo and just don't have a lot of people to talk about it with. And us being able to be those voices and to, bounce those ideas off of, hopefully we brought a different perspective or added some details that you didn't pick up on, or just can be that sounding board.
The friend that you're playing with.
Exactly. That's what we want to be for you guys. And we'll continue once we get more Halo in the near future. We'll continue to do that. And hopefully, we'll bring you a couple episodes along the way with some more interesting discussions.
And maybe we'll expand.
Yes. Ooh.
I'm still pushing for that, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's been fun. Well, that'll do it for our debriefing of Debriefing Mission Debrief. Wait. No, just Debriefing Mission Debrief.
The debriefing of Mission Debrief.
So, on the next episode, we don't know what we're going to do for you, but we'll bring you something, and it'll be fun, and the three of us will be there. Send us your thoughts, podcastevolve@gmail.com, or drop us a tweet at podcastevolved on Twitter. You can also support the show by visiting Podcast Evolved on Patreon. Don't forget that free audiobook trial. Visit audibletrial.com/podcastevolved. Thank you, Aaron, for being the host.
Thank you, Aaron. We love you, everybody, but we love him.
We do.
Technical difficulties.
Until next time, evolved.
Evolve.